Yeah, yeah,
So,
And they still stuck with it. They could have choose not to
yeah.
come back. They been with it every step of the way. So
so I feel like
Peace.
we're protected, so
Appreciate that.
we're getting pendings. Well, we still doing it?
Well, I mean, go ahead. She
I was
want to
gonna
add something.
say,
Peace.
how you doing?
Peace,
Hey,
peace,
you're the
peace.
one we saw outside, right?
Yeah.
Islam, Islam.
I was gonna say the same thing that she just said. I
We got a
felt
book
really
to sign
comfortable and
in,
really safe
and,
knowing that
just to do
there's someone
for the
here
temple.
to protect us and just,
Talk about it.
not just talk about it and not
Be about
just
it.
one group of people bearing arms and we get surrounded. Just knowing that like there's a few more here who know and believe in Second Amendment and protecting their families and their women and their children. That
Yeah.
makes coming to the temple and being a part of this feel a lot safer. 'Cause
Yeah.
some people might feel like once you start learning the information that, you might be a target or whatever, or trolls are threatening you or whatever, but it does feel better to know that, like, we're protected by people.
Yeah. So just for the camera, we were talking about voting on me carrying this. Well, even if you voted, I shouldn't have it on camera. I was gonna put it right here because technically I don't have it. It's right there. Just because we don't want a negative image painted about us. But like I said before, there have been more that have threatened to kill me publicly online, and no one batted an eye. Everyone knows that we have class here every Saturday. The location is public, so I don't know who's walking in that door. I met you one time. How do I know that you're not here to kill me? And there's another Moor who got arrested by the Europeans. He was on probation in a straw man. He did something as a Moor, didn't know what he was doing, got sent to jail. And then another Moor told me that he was coming to the temple to kill me. But then the Moor talked to him, and then him and I ended up having a conversation because he thought I abandoned him. I said, no, we went to court for you. They didn't bring you out, they put you on camera. And then his eyes lit up because the only way for me to know that is if I was there. So while he was sitting there doing his time, his mind was festering. They were probably giving him information about me that was false because he didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Which is their tactic, separate
Exactly.
everyone. No, your boy's telling on you.
Yeah.
No, you ain't even got to speak. He gave you up.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you psychologically messing with yourself, singing a big song.
Yeah.
And then yourself incriminated.
Yeah. So, for my personal safety, I'm carrying this because that's my right. I would encourage you to come to class with your arm as well, because it is your right to do so. And in the European colonial state of Rhode Island, which we're not citizens of, they state that you can open carry this without a license.
What is that?
This is a semi-automatic rifle. Now, the reason why I'm saying semi-automatic is because the Europeans have voted that in the state of Rhode Island, which we're not citizens of, automatic rifles are illegal, which they're infringing on our Second Amendment right. So, knowing this, I was like, all right, I'll just get a semi-automatic rifle because I was trained in the military with it anyway. I'm a better shot with it anyway. So great. All right, then we got all these windows, all these vantage points. We got the higher ground. Whoever's coming up these stairs is already at a disadvantage. So, again, it's not only for my safety, it's for your safety because I don't know who's coming in those doors. Also, it brings another image to the Moorish movement, that we're not just playing church, because we're not a church. We're a civic organization, meaning we teach law. Also, you can be intelligent, meaning use your brain and think, and talk about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and still carry a peace to protect your freedom and to invoke justice, which is what the prophet exactly said to do. Now, there's more saying that the prophet also said, don't even carry a knife. They're referencing the oral statements by the prophet, which the oral statements are people saying that the prophet said this, whereas the divine constitution and bylaws is something that he wrote, whereas the last few chapters of the Quran is something that he wrote. So there's no hearsay. So you can't really say the prophet said that if someone else is saying the prophet said it, because in the divine warning by the prophet for the nations, he said, enforce the Constitution. And then the Constitution says you have the right to bear arms. So why would you not bear arms? So now that's a conflict of law. So if one person saying, he said, don't even carry a knife, but his words are saying enforce the Constitution, and in the Constitution says bear arms, now there's a conflict.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? Meaning, don't believe what people tell you. Always look everything up. So, I know you're new. Can you tell me what you've heard about this movement?
I met Brother Khalifa
Mm-hmm.
while I was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the way he moved. Very quiet at first. And he taught me that a lot. Taught me a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I see things a little differently compared to, I was, first of all, let me just, can I ask a question real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
Has to do with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I stop in everywhere, you know, I drive around a lot, whatever, and I come across, you know, there's always, you know, little bodegas, little corner stores and stuff like that, and a lot of those bodegas and corner stores, they're owned by Moors, you know what I mean, Moroccan.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of them that I, you know, I come to speak to and stuff like that, they don't acknowledge Noble Drew Ali as a prophet.
Mhm.
They say he's a philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is it that they see it that way and we see it another way? Why is it that there's like, I just, you know,
Yeah,
'cause
so-
you speak it, so it just like
Yeah.
came into my mind right now.
That's a great question. So now, when you study the Kingdom of Morocco, which is separate
And
from
that was another thing he asked me too. He said, do I believe in the king? Like,
what king?
the king of Morocco.
So now, the Kingdom of Morocco wasn't established until 1956. Period. The Moors have a treaty with the United States in 1787, meaning they're not the ones who signed that treaty, which raises the question, who is? Right? Then, around 1902, the current Kingdom of Morocco was colonized by France.
Okay.
Right? They're in agreement with the Europeans. They're in power because of them, because they sold out. That's why they don't recognize the Prophet. Now, also, if you do research, the ambassador of Morocco to the United States recognized Noble Drew Ali's connection to Morocco in 1986. So look that up. Because they might say that, but the ambassador, who's a public official, who has more say than someone who owns a corner store, wrote in a letter that they recognize Noble Drew Ali, right?
It's just like before the interaction that we all had, like last week or a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know, I never never crossed anybody else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So Khalifa was the only person that I spoke to about any of this. Like I try to do my own, like, you know, surfing and teaching
Yeah.
and learning and stuff like that. I do it myself. You asked me, you know, what is it that I do know? You know, first of all, I'm a Moor. You know what I mean? I'm indigenous. I come from
Territory, what?
huh?
Is that what you're about to say?
Nah, I was gonna say that I come from a line of, you know, of royalty, of kings and queens, and I have to be able to accept that. And me, as one person, not even a person, but, you know, as who I am, you know, I have to be like, I feel driven by it because it's truth. You know, there's a lot of truth behind a lot of the stuff that I've read, and it's hard for others to acknowledge it because it's foreign to what it is that they've been taught. So, you know, it's hard to, you know, I'm glad that I was able to reach you guys because if it wasn't, you know what I mean, like, I'll still be out there serving
Yeah.
on my own. You know, Brother Khalifa, I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
He's in the wind somewhere, can't find him, you know? So it's like, I studied with him, I studied common law, I studied a lot of common law. I still recite a lot of it in my head. Common law is the supreme law of the land. No code, rule, regulation, statute, or policy can be converted into a law for that would be fraud, case law, versus. So
Yeah.
no, I know a lot. Like I know a lot. I take a lot of notes. You know, I have stuff in my phone that, you know, it's in my favorites. I ever get it. Like I've had an interaction with a policy enforcer. You know, about 2 months ago I was detained. You know, they, you know, try to throw all types of charges, and everything went out the window due to the fact that they only was able to charge me with obstruction. I didn't even want to do it, plead out anything. I was gonna sit there, but it's just like I just got finishing a 5-year sentence. Do I really want to sit here for the trial for the next 6 months for an obstruction charge that I can like walk out of right now? That sucked so bad sitting there. and that situation, stuff like that. And it's just more whack because I didn't have nobody else, like brothers and sisters, you know, being in my area to be able to guide. Like I was on my own doing that, and I was supposed to be charged. You know, obviously I travel. You know, I'm traveling in my vehicle. It's unregistered. You know. You know what I'm saying? It's unregistered, plates don't match the whole nine. So they were supposed to charge me with all of that, and they didn't. They only charged me with obstruction because of the fact that I presented myself, you know, correctly. You know, like when I sat there, I asked the judge if she was going to honor her oath that she took under the Constitution of the United States of the Republic. You know what I mean? And she held me in contempt and sent me downstairs.
Yeah.
So they brought me back up, they brought me to another judge, they had all types of little lawyers there, they kept calling me a sovereign citizen, I was getting all types of hassle. And yeah, like I told the lady, like I got pulled over for my tire screeched, and that was it. I took a left, I was trying to give someone the greater way, they didn't take it, I took it, I got pulled over, and I recorded my interaction. You know, as soon as they come to my vehicle, the vehicle of which I'm in, I inform them immediately, hey, listen, I want to inform you that this interaction between you and I is being recorded for your safety and my safety. Now you can proceed. It was cool though, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It was cool. It was an experience, you know, like I'm still a newbie, you know.
Well, I can tell you right now, based on your experience, you're not new. Because there's a lot of Moors out there, they can talk law, but they have zero experience. Meaning they're not credible. Because in order to be around me, and this is not me making it up, you have to be tried and true. That's just the energy that I demand. You know, and Allah kind of enforces that. And as you come here more and more, you'll see people start to dwindle away, because I'm about action, not me listening to what you have to say and you not showing me anything. So you're not new. Right? Just to talk about a little bit about the principles of Noble Drew Ali, I'm going to read the divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. But one of the things that the Prophet came here to enforce was diversity of citizenship, also known as diversity of nationality, because we are not citizens of the United States, which is why in the divine warning by the Prophet for the nations, he said the 14th and 15th Amendment is not necessary for the salvation of my people and citizens. Because the 14th Amendment is what the Europeans lie about and say that it reversed the Dred Scott decision, meaning so-called blacks are not citizens of the United States. They also lie and say that the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, which is a lie. Additionally, the 15th Amendment is what gave so-called black, so-called voting rights, which the Prophet talked about casting a free national ballot in the state in which you live. That state is your group of people bound together by common law, meaning those Moors amongst you. That's where you cast a free national ballot. And as you see in my office is a picture of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Oscar the Priest, and Louis B. Anderson, which the Prophet told Moors to vote for said persons to represent the Moors within city council and within the floor of Congress of the United States. That's dealing with the treaty that we have between us and them, and us being part and parcel of the Moorish government, which is on Morocco, and the Europeans are doing business on Morocco, so they have to talk to us, meaning we're not citizens of their stuff. So if we want representatives within City Hall, we have to vote amongst these people and then put them in City Hall. Yes?
Sorry, they're asking that you don't write all that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Boom. So, just to be clear, we're not citizens of the United States, meaning we're not citizens of the individual states, meaning we're not citizens of Rhode Island, we're not citizens of Connecticut, we're not citizens of Massachusetts, we're not citizens of Maine, we're not citizens of the municipal city of Providence, we're not citizens of the municipal city of Boston, we're not citizens of the municipal city of Pawtucket, Lowell, none of these things, right?
Nor are we residents.
Nor are we residents, exactly. We are inhabitants of the land, which is completely different, right? So to make change on the municipal level, which is the first level of government, which is what we're supposed to establish first, we have to vote one another into a certain position. That person, of course, has to be qualified. Then we have to go as an organization, a drill society, to the municipality and tell them we're Aboriginal indigenous people. Here's our elected representatives. Here's our treaty. Here's the different states of the colonial union recognizing Moors as indigenous people. Here's the rights of indigenous people stating they have to recognize our representatives. This is how we're going to move forward. That's what needs to happen. And when you actually study what the prophet brought, you'll see that to be true. So now I'm going to read the divine warning by the divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So Act 1 is dealing with the legislator. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Meaning you have to prove what you're about, not just say, oh, I'm a good guy. Words don't mean nothing, right? Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day of all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Now, just to be clear, again, we are not the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are the Rise of the Moors non-profit civic organization. Now, the reason why I'm reading this is because our prophet brought it to us, and we need to abide by these rules. Although we're not under the name Moorish Science Temple of America. Meaning none of these dirty-ass agents who are claiming to be the Moorish Science Temple of America have any jurisdiction over me, nor this temple, nor anyone that comes to this temple. I'll be clear. We sure? Great. And as the prophet said, the Grand Sheik and Assistant Grand Sheik are to live their lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And the fact that they lived their life accordingly, the members must know so that there can be an election. Meaning, no one lays hands on you and says, holy moly macaroni, you're the Grand Sheik because you paid me $200 to go to the adept chamber, and now I'm putting you in position because we're boys and we're controlling all these people. It's an election. Meaning the most qualified person gets put in that seat because the people support that person. Not because that person said, well, I'm this because I said so. That's not how government is run at all, right? Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Now, which government is he talking about? Right? So, did he mention the United States at all?
Nope.
He didn't. So when he says the government, you can't assume that he's talking about these Europeans doing business on your land. Get it? It's very simple. Number 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Meaning we're not trying to overthrow anything. We're trying to establish our government as a nation of people and effectively communicate our position with the Europeans doing business on our land. None of which talks about infiltrating their anything and overthrowing their anything via a coup or whatever. It's about you do your thing, we're over here, we're doing our thing. We can talk business, we can do contracts together, we can do commerce together. Other than that, you shouldn't be in our communities, period. Or infringing on our rights. Which, when you read, as an example, the Nation of Islam, that's one of their goals, to separate. Yes?
Sorry, there's someone in the comments who calls themselves Negro Science and still claims to be a Moor, is asking if we're a church.
The word church means circle, so yes, we're in a circle. Acts 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names, which include Indian, West Indian, Hispanic, so-called Latino, etc., were none of that. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. So from 1779 to 1865, is that 400 years? 1779, 1865. That's not 400 years. But this is a new era of time, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, which when you look at North America and South America, we're in North America and South America. Also, he said to be recognized by us, meaning when Moors recognize other Moors, they have to say, I'm a Moor. Because you have no rights as a black person based on what you say. Act 7, all members must properly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Repeat
Then,
that, because most people might.
members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. So I've heard through the grapevine, Moors complaining about me charging 10. Now, can you plug this in, please? So like I said, as I was saying, any more is complaining about, how come I gotta pay 10 notes to get in the door? I pay the rent here. You're sitting in my chairs. You're sitting at my tables. You use my paper and ink for your proclamations. You're using my ID machine for your IDs. I brought those flags. What more do you need to know? If you don't want to pay the 10 notes, okay, don't show up. Watch online for free. And don't get any assistance without paying me. And if you don't like it, go to another Moorish Science Temple of America where they're not teaching you civics and they're not helping you at all. Go there if you're going to complain.
And still pay dues.
Yeah, and still pay dues and not get any help.
And it's gonna be more than $10 a class.
Because like I said, this was built off my back. I put in my own fiat to print my books, to sell my books. I pay for the website. What more do you need to know as to why you're paying 10 notes to help you come here? You get what I'm saying? Just to clear that up for anyone having any thoughts about anything.
Can I add? Without this temple, we would not be sitting here. They would not be watching. So with me saying that, it's like saying, we all want to come here so we all can exchange information, all help one another. So if we really want to help one another, these are the necessary steps and measures that have to be taken to continually have that.
And it's only 10 notes. So what's that? $40? $40 a month?
Some people spend 30 notes on a dinner and be like, oh, that dinner wasn't even good.
Or they're still paying tithes to the church to fix their roof that never got fixed. And they pass around that collection plate more than once.
And dropping $3,000 for an attorney who's going to turn you over.
Yeah. Peace.
Islam.
So yeah, anyone have any problems paying the 10 notes to get in here, bring it up to me, and I'll promptly kick you out. Now, if you can't afford it, that's fine. Let me know. Bring me into the office. Let me know what's going on, and I'll give you a pass. Huh? Income driven? Peace. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in months. Been busy? Yeah.
People think you're profiting. Like, when you own a business, you don't profit.
The first 2 years.
A lot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem. So, continuing. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Any questions on that? Wife, you must...
That wife with an S or what?
wife
Wife, okay, making sure.
and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters, you must obey fathers and mothers and be industrious, peace, and become a part of the upliftment of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with water and their bodies pure with love and their bodies clean with water. So anyone claiming that you need to have your children vaccinated, if you do research on the CDC, what's in these vaccines, and they'll admit to you that they're 50% mercury by weight. Then when you look up mercury, you'll see that mercury is the cause of a lot of brain damage. When you hear the phrase Mad Hatter, mad as a hatter, they talk about back in the day, they used to line hats with mercury. And when they used to sell those hats and put them on people's heads, they used to turn insane. That's why in Alice in Wonderland, you see the Mad Hatter with a top hat. It's laced with mercury. So when these Europeans try to say mandatory vaccines, nope, religious exemptions, my prophet said, keep my body clean and pure with love and water. None of it says mercury.
I even have a document here where the CDC puts out, they have codes for different ethnicities or nationalities. You know, and if you claim yourself black or African, you're in the 200s. 201, 202, so they already know what vaccination to give your people based off what you consider yourself to be. In fact, you don't even belong at those hospitals anymore.
Also, if you go to riseofthemoors.org, I created a declaration dealing with you being exempt from vaccines. If you go to riseofthemoors.org, click on writs, you'll see the vaccine exemption thing. Or, I charge probably like 5-10 notes maybe for it. Or you can just say what I said for free and get that exemption. Everything's free. You're just paying me for a service. All right, the additional laws. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses, each said temple must be approved by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, before acting upon any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from office under a heavy restriction, or under heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their adept meeting and their public meeting promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, they shall be fined 50 cents on the first case and on the second they will be fined $1. Now remember, they're talking about gold and silver, which will go on your emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues, if a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. If he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Upliftment Fund, because it takes finance to uplift a nation. Now, as an example, let's say we wanted to have two armed Moors downstairs while class is going on. We're gonna have to pay those people.
I just asked Uncle how much it'll be for him to install cameras. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting on the text for that.
All right.
I'll try and get that done.
Great. But even that costs finance. And I'd rather have cameras in a better office space than this.
Well, the building is ours.
Yeah, right? ETC. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to give finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag. That one. That's the American flag.
Not the banner?
No. They're not Americans. They're Europeans. Or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now let me just clarify that. When I state people's names and say that they're agents, that's not slander against them. That's the truth. So what I've said doesn't fall within these guidelines. Because all I'm saying is, here's his signature on a document from a European governor, and here's more proof that they're selling us out. So it's not slander. Because I know, as an example, I've mentioned a few Indians' names. The leaders are sellouts. The followers, they may or may not know what's going on. So we're to treat them accordingly, because they're Moors too. And we need them to be part of this, not part of that Indian BS. Because they're not Indians, and they need to know that, right? Act 5, all members must properly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so. Because out of our Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Now, if you're a guider of the nation, that means you know what? Civics. That means you know law. That means you know history. That means you comprehend politics. So why is it that these Moorish Science Temple of Americas aren't teaching civics? And then why are they calling me an agent because I'm teaching civics? When we got Moors in this room with proof that they got cases dismissed based on what I told them to say, which is creating and enforcing law, which is Act 1. You got something to say?
It's just temple wars, we think, because we ain't part of the temple, that you can't be.
But we are part of a temple. We're just not part of the sellout Moorish Science Temple.
Elected our officials.
And then Act 6 and 7 are the same as the previous. It's just the prophet had to create additional bylaws because there were dirty Moors infiltrating the temple. They would wait till the prophet was done speaking. Then when the Moors would organize, they'd start whispering stuff in people's ears. Oh yeah, authenticate that birth certificate. But the prophet just said leave all old business as it is. Nah, just authenticate that birth certificate.
Does that keep it? Is that what you're saying?
Now, the prophet said, leave all old things as it is, meaning don't authenticate the birth certificate. So leave it as it is, meaning, okay, here's the birth certificate, I'm just going to leave it.
You got someone else saying, oh, you should do
Yeah, whispering in Moore's ears, yeah. Yeah. Their tactics don't change. Then here I have pictures of the prophet and all that good stuff, so feel free to pass that around. Now I'm going to read a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. Now this all has to do with what's written on the board. Take your place amongst the affairs of men, meaning you choose how active you are in this movement. So if you say, dang, this temple really needs blank. Guess what you should do? Go get it. Like the sister over here came upstairs with legal paper. Why? She was like, he could probably use some legal paper. She didn't say, hey, looks like you need legal paper over there, and then go home. Now, it sounds simple, but it's not. Just like Ellie over here, he would see the garbage getting full, so what did he do? Tied up the garbage, right? Took it downstairs.
Or buy all the food.
Buys all those snacks. He brought that for you. You get what I'm saying? We need a new building. Look at that. That's disgusting. So whose job is it to go look around and look for a new space? Everyone. You get what I'm saying? So, I would personally say that this is one of the most important documents that the Prophet has, besides the Quran, as it pertains to civics. Because in the Quran, civics is also talked about. This is the divine warning by the Prophet for the nations, which studying this document is a requirement to be part of the Rise of the Moors, to be a member of the Rise of the Moors nonprofit civic organization. You have to know this document and be quizzed on it by me. Off the top of my head. So you can't study for it. You just have to study this. You get it? So, from the Prophet, the citizens of all free national governments. I'll read that one more time because you need to know this. The citizens of all free national governments. What kind of government is the United States? No, it's not. Huh? Huh? Colonial, yes. So knowing that it's colonial, they have different nationalities, don't they? Which means they're not a national government, correct? Which makes them what? A federal government. But your prophet said free national government. So that should tell you, you're not citizens of their colonial union because their colonial union is a federal government. So now any more claiming to be, I'm the supreme grand whatever of this Moor Science Temple of America and we are citizens of the United States. That sounds like a contradiction to the very man who brought you this information. Which in the things to be read at every meeting, the prophet said all true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. Which means if you're against your prophet, you're committing treason.
And if the prophet's not right,
The temple's not right. Which when the prophet was here, the temple was right. So I'll read that one more time. Third time's the charm. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. What is your national name? Moorish American. Now, when you look at Haiti's constitution, when you look at Cuba's constitution, when you look at Colombia's constitution, they all talk about nationality. And in those nations, those free national governments, they say you are a, as an example in Haiti, Haitian national if your mother or father is a Haitian. Get it? In Cuba, it's the same thing. You are Cuban if your mother or father is Cuban, meaning if you have a Cuban father and a European mother, guess what you are? Cuban. Isn't that what the prophet said? Didn't he talk about free national constitutions? Didn't he talk about citizenship? What about that has nothing to do with civics? Meaning all of it has everything to do with civics. So any more saying that we're not about civics is an agent. They're a sellout. They're lying to your face. And they're most likely getting paid by the Europeans to deceive you. Exactly. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names, abuses, and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. So all this BS that you see our people going through, that's because we have no national allegiance. We won't even stand for each other. And we claim to be another man's property by claiming to be black, Indian, Hispanic, African American, all of which we are not. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. Now, this is where a lot of Moors get confused, because the Constitution for the United States of America is their document. But since it's based on common law, it applies to free national beings, because those laws are not specific to the citizens of the United States. That's why it says we the people of the United States, not we the citizens of the United States. Get it? Meaning those rights are protected for all human beings that claim a nationality, which once you refuse to claim your nationality, you're not classified as a human being. That's why in Article 3 of the Constitution, it talks about the issue of diversity, because it's talking about people with different nationalities. So, it's not our document. We're using it to protect ourselves because it protects everyone. That's what it's for. Then we also have a treaty with the United States, which is telling you we're separate. Because why would you have a treaty with yourself? Does that make sense? No, it does not. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because Moors will say, we're the United States. We wrote the Constitution. That's for us. So you're telling me you are part of this European colonial union and you treated with other Moors, but you're also Moors, and you have a constitution and a treaty? You signed both for yourself? So now it's a lineal contract, which means it doesn't exist. So what are you talking about? You get it? It's not complicated at all. It's not complex. It's not confusing. It's not even perplexing. It's none of those things. It's very clear, cut and dry, black and white. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement. Now, he said recognized by this government. He talked about a free national government. So which government is he talking about? The Moorish government. It comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement. Does that sound like Moorish Science Temple of America to you? So all these Moors claiming you can only get saved through the Moorish Science Temple of America. Again, they're going against the very words of the Prophet, because the Rise of the Moors nonprofit civic organization is part of the Moorish divine and national movement. Go ahead.
Was the Prophet part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or any temple for that matter, when he found out his real lineage?
In fact, he started the old Canaanite temple in 1913.
Oh.
And then the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which adopted the Moorish Science Temple of America as its corporate name. So you tell me.
It's the same argument that like Catholics and every other religion has. Oh,
Yeah.
if you're not part of this church, Jesus didn't have a church.
Yeah. Which is why in the Quran of Muhammad it said there shall be no sects within Islam, meaning different groups claiming to be the legitimate whatever. That's not what we're about. Rise of the Moors is about, oh, you're a Moor over there? All right, cool, we'll help you out if you help us out. I don't care what name you have.
Or even what religion you want to ascribe to, if
Yeah.
you do want to have a certain religion.
Which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. Now, the word incorporated, it means to move as a body. That's all it means. Corp means body. Ation is an action-making suffix, meaning that body is in action. So there's nothing wrong with a corporation. Yes.
So is that like us filing tort claims? We're now corporation?
Well, you're suing as individuals
True.
because the European said you can't sue as a class action suit because you're not an attorney. I said, all right, I'll just make your life harder and have more sue as individuals and give them counsel anyway. All right, so that's why I did that. It's a tactic against them, which now they know. Great. No, I don't care. They can see me coming. They can't stop it. What are they going to do? Right? And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Now, if you watch the videos of us going to the mayor's office, didn't that European that ran up, wasn't she glad to help us? Then when we went downstairs to speak to that larger European woman, wasn't she glad to help us? She was a little scared because she was looking death in the face, because our unity means the end of their colonial oppression. So the signs and symbols are right in your face. You just have to see it.
Like that other.
The other European,
gentleman.
he said, I'm gonna be late, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Let's help you guys out
Yeah.
first.
Did you notice how loud he was?
Yeah. That's that fear. He was conquering his fear right in your eyes. You need to know that, because that's the power that we all have as individuals when we come together. You know that old saying, this is not as powerful as this? Well, that's true. If it was just me up there, oh, this guy with a funny hat. But no, there was so much more as we couldn't even fit in that room.
That's how it should be every time.
Everyone in there gonna Google it.
Good.
Was in the lobby and outside waiting.
Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by names and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need support from all true American citizens of the United States of America.
Use the word enforcement.
Yeah. Now, if you don't believe that you don't own crap by not having a free national name, read the Christian Black Codes of 1724, Article 22, which states blacks shall never own anything. That's why you have to register your business with the European state. That's why you have to pay taxes to them. That's why you have to get licenses, which is permission from them, because you don't own crap. Now, to change that, guess what we have to do?
Understand that, even owners, house owners.
Yeah, because they have the appearance that, oh, I worked hard for this and I pay a mortgage.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, you pay your house off, but you're still stuck paying taxes.
Yeah. But you never even paid it off anyway, because it's not money. It was an illusion the entire time.
What is it, the dial?
Allodial. Allodial.
I was just telling I can't never say that word, but I was just telling somebody, like, you can't obtain that no more. You have to, like, really go, you have to go this route to really be able to, like, really claim that. Like,
Let me pose a question to everyone. All right. Let's imagine, you know that big piece of land right there? There's nothing there, right?
Yep.
If we buy wood, buy concrete, buy metal, stuff like that, and build that house, once we pay for the supplies, we pay for the manual labor, meaning the people to build the house, is it or is it not true that that house is already paid for? Because you just built it, right? So all these homes that are already built, they're what? Already paid for. That's why they exist. So what you paying for?
I never saw that like that.
Of course not.
Every time the house gets sold, the mortgage gets paid again. Every single time you sell a house, that, it's creating a new mortgage. So, say the house is 200,000, it gets sold, oh, it's gonna sell for 300,000 this time, now it's selling for 400,000, now it's selling for, so every single time it's getting that. So houses that like, say, like, there was this one house that we looked into that had no records from the 1800s since it was built until 2005, so that means, you know, the mortgage and all, there was no mortgage because the house was built with the money that it was used to build the house. And then whenever that house got out of their, what's called the chain of title, once the house left their possession, the bank literally created a mortgage out of thin air for that house, and now people are paying for something that,
So, in other words, it wasn't even on the market ever, and when they moved out, they put it on the market,
Right.
thus
Mm-hmm.
continuing the fraud.
right,
So by creating those documents is easy. So it's pretty much like, as a common sense that we all have, to that, is like an illusion. We understand the illusion of the Federal Reserve notes, that is pretty much private and public. And according to that, the only thing we are attaching, a promise ring to pay, because the promise ring to pay, right? So accordingly to that, you signing a contract between the person, the bank, and you at the same time, that creates value. So the contract of you just signing that you're definitely going to pay for it. But accordingly to Congress and all that, is a lot of clarity that there haven't been no money circulating, because they be having all the gold and silver and controlling that from day one, and then the ability to print paper. So accordingly to the contract, you engage in a payment like almost 7 years of payment. And if you don't allegedly stick to the contract of paying, now they could repossess the house because it's an actual contract. But when you do engage on the same contract, actual contract law, there is a promise ring now you're using as an instrument of negotiability, that you promise ring to pay is supposed to be a contract to get it. So pretty much a mortgage. So you have to challenge the mortgage and accordingly to that, for they could understand they don't have no ability unless if you attach to the contract to pay.
Yeah, which according to legal tender, both parties have to agree. You good?
So what, like in the future, say we own a bunch of property, we would do the same thing if we would want to generate a form of currency to.
We can, yeah.
we can sell.
But we can-
mortgages to Europeans.
No, I'm
But-
saying is, isn't that what we were gonna?
You can do whatever you want with your property, yeah.
Yeah.
Rent it, it's the same thing. But to create actual currency, we can all just invest in silver and then create silver certificates. And then that will circulate, which now that's currency. And it's backed by actual silver, so now it actually has value. Go ahead.
What do you mean by silver certificates?
Silver certificate, all right. Here's an example. These wires will get out of my way. I always have silver on me. What kind of question is that?
No, the certificate.
Oh, no. Sure. That's copper.
You don't have this PDF?
Are you sure it's in your bag? Because I took it out.
Yeah, I just put it in the
Oh.
corner.
It don't work like this.
So this is a Federal Reserve note in my right hand. Federal Reserve note. This is a silver certificate. So now let's just role play for a second. Let's act like both of these are in your possession, right? Let's act like I'm the United States Treasury Department, which the signature of the treasurer is on there, right? Let's just act like, you've been buying and selling with that, and you have a few silver certificates, right? You come to me, I'm the bank, right? I'm the teller. You give me this certificate. You say, hey, I'm here to cash in this silver certificate. I inspect it. Okay, it has the treasurer's signature on it. It says $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. You bore this, you had it in your hand, you're giving it to me. Okay, so now I give you this. And then I shred this. That's what a silver certificate is. And I would check the serial number to make sure that this serial number is on that ounce of silver, to make sure I'm giving you the right one, right? That's all that is. Now, with this just says Federal Reserve note. And a note is a promise. So you just gave this to me, meaning you promised to give me something of value later, right? Which, since the United States Treasury Department put this into circulation, they've been promising everyone to give them something of value later. So now it's just floating. It's not backed by anything.
That's why collectors from old monies, that they certificate, that's why they pay $2 or $3, and then in your illusion, you think that you getting enough money. But they taking all the gold and silver because they go to the Department of Treasury where the really actual gold's supposed to be. They cash those and they have to give them the gold and silver because that's they have like a code in there, like he said.
So where do you obtain those, or how do you obtain those?
These aren't in circulation anymore.
It's hard.
No, you can go to like pawn shops, stuff like that, get that. But I'd rather just get the silver, because then you can create a bond, which this is a bond, because this is connected to this. So it's bonded. The word certificate means to certify. So this certifies that there's an ounce of silver somewhere. You get what I'm saying? So now I can say, all right, if we had our own silver certificates, now I can say, all right, this more certificate is backed by an ounce of silver. I'm going to set the value of it. So now I'm controlling the market. You get it? Now I'm controlling the value of things because this isn't backed by anything. So it's worthless. But if you have a more silver certificate, this is worth $800. This. $800. Not notes. Dollars. But you can buy it for 20 of these.
Which now you're changing something and that's worthless.
So exactly, now you're exchanging something that's worth nothing with something of real value. Then you can put a bond on this, or a derivative, which the word derivative means derived. So this is derived from this derivative. This is connected to this bond. This certifies this exists certificate. It's the same exact thing. Don't get confused.
So we would have our own Morris Treasury or bank, and we would trade amongst each other with Morris papers, and then we say, all right, I have 500 Morris notes or whatever.
No, they wouldn't be notes, they would be certificates.
Certificates.
Let me cash in.
I'm only gonna need 200 certificates to handle my affairs weekly, so I'm gonna take 300 and trade that in for the gold, so that I could put that away and actually accumulate some.
Yep.
You know where they did that at?
Everywhere?
You know what that movie with Keanu Reeves?
John Wick.
John Wick.
That building he goes to, which is the safe zone, they only spend the gold in there. You can only spend it, even when you're outside of it, to get service from that building, you can only use.
It's an organization.
If you watch part two, check who's on the gold coin that they're using. Look who's the image on the gold coin.
So now, if the Moors want an actual treasury with actual gold and silver, not just saying we activated the treasury, guess what the Moors have to do? The individuals, meaning every single one of you, has to get this, right? Let's say you have 30. Let's just do a quick mathematics, right? Because the prophet said the wealth of all national governments belong to the citizens alone, right? Let's do some quick maths. I'm not the best at math, but this is very simple. So I'm going to mess up a few times because that's just what it is. Let's just say 10 Moors, right, have 5 ounces of silver each.
5 little pieces.
So now that's 50 ounces of silver in total, right? Let's just say those 10 Moors each donate 2 ounces of silver. Now that's, right? Let's say this is what you have at home, but this is what you're giving to the Moorish treasury. So now the Moorish treasury has 20 ounces of silver. Right? Simple math, right? That's so simple. There's 28.35 grams in an ounce.
This is a troy ounce, which is 31.
Well, yeah, a troy ounce is more,
Yeah,
right? But this is just an ounce,
okay.
right? Now, we already know in math, we round to the nearest hundredth, right? So we'll just cross that 3.5 out, 28. So every ounce of silver, right? Every ounce of silver, you can make 28 certificates. Which means you would need 28 of these to get one of these, right? Now, the treasury always needs enough actual assets in the treasury so it doesn't go broke. So what you can do is cut this in half. What's half of 28? 14. So now you can sell 14 silver certificates for $20. Which it costs 20 to get 1 ounce. So every half ounce sold, you can buy another ounce. Then you can create 14 more certificates for that ounce, put it out in circulation to the Moors, and then get another ounce. That's just with an initial investment of 1 ounce. So now if you have 20, every 10 sold, you get 20 more ounces. Which you're using your fiat to get this, which now we can just dominate. Hey, Moors. Oh, by the way, we're Moors. This is our land, so now we're saying our silver is worth 10 times more than the Europeans. Hey, China, what's up? We got some actual real gold and silver. You trying to do business? Hey, Turkey, what's up? We actually got real gold and silver. You trying to do business? Any questions?
It's common sense. Then if every Moors have their own store, they could be able to operate through the Moors way, and they could be able to operate into the European way. So either or, the currency of the Moors is still going to be at flow at the same time. And
Yeah.
we have to be up on ourselves like that too as well, because they know that the paper of the Moors is going to create value.
It's actually backed by something,
It's backed by
which is our
something.
credibility,
Credibility.
our credit score. Our credit score.
And to
Credibility.
To what he said, they're gonna start realizing we're actually paying more federal notes for the same services that they're using more certificates on. So, and they actually have true wealth. So why am I even playing with this federal notes thing if I'm never gonna get rich?
But exactly, so think about it. You're trading your Federal Reserve notes for a silver certificate, which then we're using to get more silver. So now we're filtering out the notes until there's only certificates backed by silver.
And now we're capitalizing on something truth.
Yeah.
And more people are gonna wanna do business with us.
You know what I'm
because
saying?
they're actually getting rich.
And then when they see that I knows the whole notes that we have pretty much is backed up by something, a certificate.
Yeah.
Certificate that
It's
we're
actually
gonna
backed by
create
something.
It's gonna backed up by something, and the people around the area is gonna be like, yo, well, you guys are getting this. I want some of that.
Say,
because
don't
it's
worry
backed
about
up by
it.
something."
Don't worry about what we
So
got
they
it.
could use it in our stores too, be like, yo, if you don't have that, you could be able to purchase that, and you could be able to create something here too as well.
Not only that, if I got silver, I go to your more store, give you silver, you giving me certificates back as change.
That's changed, boom.
So now I go to the treasury or the bank
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, I got this, just give me silver.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I know I'm gonna continue conducting business in the community, just use the certificates.
You use of the tip.
It's worth something.
So now you're gonna carry around heavy ass ounces of silver. Have not a certificate.
Yeah, I mean, 1 coin is worth $800, so.
Ain't that simple?
You don't have to roll around with that much.
So now, appmex.com. Yep, is where you get your silver, or you can go to any of these pawn shops and get silver at spot, which most of them will have like 18 notes for it. It's probably like $17.50 on APMEX, but you're paying for it being right there. Right.
Now in California, they have like an ATM that you could just pull regular dollars and you could be able to get gold coins and stuff like that. So it's
That's what we
ounces.
should be doing, because they're doing a
We'll talk more about that off camera. I just wanted to show this, because any more can do this. It's just you need that credibility with the people in order for it to have any type of value. You get what I'm saying? Which then we can start smelting coins, put the prophet's face on it.
Wow, I like the sound of that.
Put Marcus Garvey's face on it. Call up Malcolm's family, but yo, can we put Malcolm's face on it? Because, gotta ask. Can just put his face on it?
On the flip side, put the pyramid actually together.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Look at how they use our pyramid. Oh, that's not it.
So,
Look at how they use our pyramid.
continue with what the prophet said. Because now, if that's in your Moorish treasury and you put in the initial ounce, that means you have stocks. That means you have interest, which is only going to increase in value. And then you can take that bond, because if I was in charge, if the treasury was under my jurisdiction, I would make sure that every Moor that put in that ounce gets a bond, so that they can hand that down to their children, so they can liquidate that asset if they need it. That's just me. But we'll talk more off camera. I'll read that again. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. Without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I'm depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back into their own national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. Now, I'll read that first sentence again. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine. Meaning what? He's not separating himself from his people. Meaning if you're in poverty, he's in poverty. So why these Moors act like I'm saved and I got all the remedy? That don't sound right. How are you saved, but we're not? How'd that work? Because the prophet said all living things are bound together by cords to every other living thing. So how does that work? But these Moors act like we're with the true prophet and we're with the alignment of the real true Moor science, super duper Moor science, real true Moor science Temple of America. And then they got their adept chamber ribbon.
The First Baptist.
And there's about 10 temple number ones. That don't sound right to me. How's there 10 number ones? Right? If Italians, which you go down to Federal Hill, they got the Italian flag on the road. They got the Italian flag on all those businesses. They got Italian restaurants all up and down that street.
They do it everywhere.
Meaning they own that entire block, and they got a few clubs on that block. And guess who goes there? Our people. Drinking and smoking. Paying who? Them. I mean, at least if you're going to drink and smoke, go to a Moorish bar. At least support your own people with your vices. But no. You go to the European, you call them white, you pay them, and you complain that they're ruling over you. They don't even hide it. The road, you know the divider that's normally yellow?
What's in it?
It's the Italian flag. So you know where you at. And you know this ain't Italy. You know you not Italian. You know Italy's over in Europe. So why are you supporting them if you're claiming they're the oppressor and they're the whatever and they're the this and they're the that? Oh, but you paying them. So now you're an agent of the oppressor. So now you're oppressing me because you're funding it. You know what I'm saying?
So how they entered, that, I was doing a little research with that, how they entered to become white, it was because it was a citizen status that came in place. When the
It's the Naturalization Act of
the
1870.
naturalized activation, activating themselves, and then now they convert themselves as citizens for them to be able to engage commerce and do it.
But they are citizens of their colonial union. They have every right to be citizens of that. Yeah. But the point is, if you go down to that street I just told you about, they know they're Italian. There's no white flag there. It's the Italian flag. You get it? Meaning they know who they are. So like the prophet said, if the Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike, which all those councilmen and women, the reason why you see a lot of Italians is because what? The Italians are voting their people into office. And then they have wards set up. So the Italians make sure they're all in the same area so they can, all right, this whole community, yeah, you're going to go in City Hall and make laws that affect us in a positive way. And what are we doing?
Nothing.
We see a European saying they're a Democrat. Oh, you shaking hands with all the pastors and you picking up a few garbage during the election season. All right, yeah, we'll vote you in office.
That's what's happening in Massachusetts.
That's what happens everywhere.
No, but in Massachusetts is the number one genociding onto the people. Because we the people, we don't go over there and go in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't even have self-education to be able to put a bill, to be able to.
No, I'm telling you, it's like that everywhere. I'm telling you, wherever we are, it's like that.
The Grand Sheik also mentioned, a little neighborhood here, but that's child's play compared to what the Italians did.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Vegas. Who you think controls Vegas? The Italians.
Mm-hmm.
And they show it to you, tell it to you in many different movies and many different ways. How do you think they were able to get all of that?
Sticking together. They were like, oh yeah, let's all pool our finances and do something.
And then you had Italians from Chicago, New York, all going over there, making their money and washing it up.
Well, a lot of them, like most nations should, settled in one place, Boston, they were congested there.
They live together, you said?
Providence, they're congested
Oh.
here. Vegas.
They were like, oh, other Italians, come over here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Squad, 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 squad.
kind of sounds like what I've been saying. Yo, Moors, pull up.
No, over here in
Skirt!
something is happening is better.
So
They ain't
now
doing
when
that.
Italian gets pulled over. Oh no, my brother's cousins.
It's
brother's-
council, whatever.
He's there. Oh, you got a car? Yeah. You go ahead.
Washington Nation is the only nation where the Washington.
Oh, you know Gunther? Yeah, go ahead. Here's his ticket off.
Exactly.
Here in the Lone Star State.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. That's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? So this next meeting that we're supposed to have with the chief of police, supposed to say, hey, you see any one of these people with fezzes on and turbans on, they're my people. Call me if you have any issues with these people.
And even if they don't, you see an ID that belongs to.
Yeah, and then call me once you see that ID. Right? In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name.
Excuse me, can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the state on notice right now?
Yeah. They got put on notice last year. When the Moorish American Consulate was established, it was my idea to notify all these governors that we exist. And I'm the one who wrote the notice of existence. And it was altered by Taj Tariq Bey. And all 50 governors were put on notice. Which it was during Gina Raimondo's term. And she just won her second term. So yes, she still knows. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for our people to stand behind the words that we're saying.
Why did Khalifa end up over there?
Because so this is what happened. And this is public information, so I'm not saying anything that's private. The straw man that the Europeans branded him as
Yep.
had was on probation or something like that.
Okay, yep, I was aware of that.
He did something as a Moor. He was already in their system, so they had his fingerprints. What more do you need to know? They claimed jurisdiction over the straw man, and they did what they did to him. Then, when the Moors tried to go to court with him, they didn't bring him out. It was on camera. Because when I did go to court with him, which is on video, riseofthemoors.org, the video is called Caveat Emptor, it's about 15 minutes, maybe shorter. I stood up and told the judge, you're violating international law. This Moor is not a citizen of the state of Rhode Island. The judge didn't say anything, because then he had to put himself in contempt. Then all the goons came over and said, blah, 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 blah. Put me in handcuffs. I threw my phone, because I was recording. So another Moor can grab it. They took me out for 10 minutes. They processed him without me there, because I was putting competent things on the record, because he wasn't able to. They let me out 10 minutes later, and they did what they did to him.
So,
Because it was just me, 2, 3 other Moors. One was like 14, and the other 2 were women. And there were about 15 armed guards in that building. So, what are 4 people and a minor going to do?
So, obviously, you and I both know what he did to be detained. So, regarding that, just to touch a little bit, like, because I'm very,
You want solutions.
nah, not that I want solutions.
No,
but
you should want
I want
solutions.
answers.
Yeah, and you want
I
solutions.
want answers.
Yeah, those are solutions.
That has to do with the whole property thing, he explained to me that, how we're able to, like,
Adverse possession. Yes, Rhode Island General Laws, Title 34, Chapter 7, Subsection 1.
so why did they penalize him, though?
Because
That's
we're
the-
colonized.
Yeah, that's.
Hold on, I'm telling you why. Because we're colonized, and it doesn't benefit them to allow us to do what they do. So to scare people off from doing the same thing, they'll punish him under the straw man because of prior convictions. So now it seems like, oh, this person is a terrible guy. You know what I'm saying? That's what that's for. Not because he did anything wrong. It's just because.
So the straw man is
Hold on.
misclassified as well.
Hold on. He didn't make the arguments that he was supposed to make. I was in court the first time. I was there. I know what he said. And every time he tried to say something, the magistrate would interrupt, which threw him off. That's his fault. So then when I seen that, they brought him upstairs because it was 6th District. They brought him upstairs because upstairs they have the Superior Court. I don't know why they had that. There's a Superior Court upstairs. I think it was on the 5th floor of 6th District Court. So we went up there. Then they brought him out again. Then I went up there and said what I said. You know what I'm saying? To try to help. But then they just locked me up, took me out. But if all of y'all was in that room, I would imagine y'all wouldn't let that happen. But that's just my opinion. That's how it's supposed to work. Because when Chinese diplomats come and speak on behalf of Chinese people, ain't no Europeans locking them up. Why? Because the Chinese people will serve severe slaps to those Europeans. Now I'm talking about slaps coming out of this. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're able to do what they do, because we do absolutely nothing. Now I'm telling you, there were Moors coming to class when Khalifa was coming to class. And they said, yeah, we're with the movement. And then when we went to court, why was it just me, 2 women, and a minor? That's the problem. Because people real big, they're real big in this room. But when the Europeans are up there on that bench doing what they do, they're less than a mouse. I'd say they're an ant.
I sat in a cop car for 2 hours after I hit them off for it.
Mm-hmm.
They sat there talking about tacos.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours in the back of the
That's because you weren't able to say, yo, Moorish consulate, these Europeans got me, and we weren't like, oh, whoosh, all right, let's go.
They didn't even try to do a resistant arrest or nothing.
I'm telling you, I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to bring you to the next level of comprehension of where we should be. You know what I'm saying?
Because as we go as groups. Like I just did prior to coming here, I was at the barber shop, and like I sat there talking to the barber, spitting a little bit like, yeah, I'm about to go to class, check out some, class and stuff like that. And I'm like breaking it down like a little bit of the knowledge that I do now. It's just like it just becomes so stubborn. It's just like
It's fear
it's
too.
hard.
It's fear.
Yeah, it is. And like I have
They
like,
don't see the unity, that's why.
yeah, like me and my father do not talk about this at all.
Mhm.
There's no point. He is plugged in to the fullest. And he doesn't want to get unplugged, and he doesn't want to hear it, nothing.
That's
It's
fine.
like,
Talk to someone else.
it just sucks though because
I know.
I'm cool with that guy. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
It's like,
I know. Good.
I was just gonna say now, if he knew what he was supposed to say in there, would have had made a big difference because he still.
It could have been a big difference if he told someone what he was doing. First of all. Second of all, it would have been a huge difference if he knew what he was doing. Meaning paperwork, not just go to the house that's abandoned. File your paperwork. Put people on notice. Then tell the Moors what you're doing. So if anything happens, we'd be like, oh, okay, we know what situation you're in now. What the hell is going on? Having to go to the police station and wait and figure out what's going on. They're not telling you nothing. Then you just go to court and wait to figure out what's going on because no one's telling you nothing.
he said he stayed down there for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So if you don't tell me what's going on, how can I help you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I can attest to that. I'm telling you. From the same situations going into court by myself versus going into court with more. Same situation. So by myself, it's different. When there's other Moors, they trip and stumble over each other. It gives me the upper hand. Now I can think because they're so intimidated by all the faces and all the same faces and they're looking. Worse, we all got locks. So that helps. That's just a strategy of war.
So let me just read this real fast, and then we'll continue. Caveat emptor. I'm just going to skip a lot of it.
Do you really have to look at the paper?
Sometimes. No.
Liar.
Prophet Noble Durali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They're the vanguard of the Moorish movement. As the Moorish hordes increase here in America, all of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the roads years before, the Prophet knows where every member is along the road. Pay attention to this part. A few feet below is another road where schemers work, where traitors grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Pay attention. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent. Oh, we can do something? Oh, we can do that? Catch scent. Devour and leave crying out. Caveat emptor. Help me. I'm going to do something by myself, not knowing what I'm doing. I'm going to get in trouble, and I'm going to ask you to help me. That's what's wrong with us. Now, this isn't against him. This is against us, period. Because I'm telling you, you don't know how many Moors I deal with that say, hey, I just nationalized today. I got court today. Help. What?
No, for real, like every day.
No, it's serious.
And I can show you the iPad where there's more. I'm not going to show you the private stuff, but I'll show you that messages of people catching scent. I'm a Moor? I don't need a license? Don't know what the hell they're doing. They're by themselves. They get caught up. Oh, I don't want to be a Moor no more.
And then somehow it's our fault.
It's his fault that I did that. That's why the dirty Moors will say, well, Jamal just says caveat emptor. Because these are grown men and women. These are grown men and women older than me asking me for help, and they don't like that.
That's right.
Because they don't want responsibility for themselves. It's easy for me to say, you're a piece of shit. Than it is for me to say, damn, I fucked up. I don't know what I'm doing. I apologize. I severely messed up. I'm incompetent. I don't know what I'm doing. It's hard to say that. So I'd rather just say, he said I can do this and I got hurt.
Always want someone to find me finger out.
That's caveat emptor. Hungry scavengers flying high, devour, catch scent, and leave crying out, caveat emptor. Oh, I smell that we can do something? All right, I'm going to go do it by myself, not tell anyone, not organize, not even help to teach anyone anything. And then when I get in trouble, I'm pointing all the fingers. Where does that work at?
Nowhere.
How many times you see Europeans do something by themselves?
And that's
You
why.
get what I'm saying? That's our problem. And if y'all don't know that, you should probably just leave today. Because I'm going to say the same thing over and over and over again until we get it. Because once we get it, then I can say, all right, Moors, let's take our first step and do this. But until you get it, I'm not stepping nowhere. I'm going to continue to do what I do privately because I know whatever I do, I'm responsible for that. Not going to say, hey, Moore, do this for me, and I don't even know where you at. Because now I'm responsible. That's why I don't tell Moors to do nothing. I say, you have the right to do A, B, C, D, and E. And if you do A, B, C, D, and E, it's because you chose to. I didn't say, go do A, B, C, D, and E. I said, you have the right to do it, which means you have the right to choose not to do it. It's not my fault if you choose to do it. And it's not my fault if you refuse to use your intelligence for anything, whether it be right to travel, whatever the situation is, right to bear arms. If you don't know how to say out of your mouth your rights to do this, then don't do it. I'm going to do it because I can cite law off the top of my head. Not saying I'm a special dude. It just means I know what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it. Not just catching scent, devouring, and like, oh, I'm just going to start walking around with a bunch of guns. That's stupid. And if I did that, I would be classified as stupid. You get what I'm saying?
Probably a terrorist, more like
Yeah.
terrorist.
You get what I'm saying?
Probably the word being used.
Now, maybe I should have said that when I first started doing classes, but in my opinion, I read caveat emptor and that made sense. I explained caveat emptor means may the buyer beware, meaning you're responsible for what you do, so there should be no one saying, well, I did this because Jamal told me to, because I didn't tell you to do nothing, because I don't tell people to do crap, because I'm an Aries and I love my freedom and I don't like when people tell me what to do, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. So that excuse don't fly over here, because I know me. You get what I'm saying?
It makes sense though, because if you're not doing that, you're enabling the people, because the people think that you're supposed to do everything for them. That's another problem we suffer from. We think that someone's going to save us.
Yeah.
We have to save ourselves. So I think caveat emptor is what's up.
It's one of the littest things that the prophet put together. You get what I'm saying? Any other questions? So, just so you know, when the prophet said, the destiny of the Moorish Divine and National Movement is guided by the will of Allah, that has everything to do with your involvement that I erased, that was on the board. Your involvement in this. So if you want to have your Moorish business, if you desire to have your Moorish business and not pay taxes to the Europeans, guess what you should do? Let me give you an example. You can domicile where there's other Moors. Why would I do that, Jamal? So that you and those Moors can go to the State Department, the state government of the European Colonial Union, speak to their business dealing with commerce, the department dealing with commerce, talk to their licensing officials and say, hey, we're a separate nation of people. You're going to see us doing business on our land. You're going to see us on our land doing business, and we don't need licenses from you. Now, if you have a problem with that, you can read the Constitution. If you have a problem with that, you can read the treaty between our nation and yours. And if you have a problem with that, then you can see these thousands of people. And they'll answer any questions that you may or may not have. Then, since we put them on notice, they're going to say, okay, there's way more than 20 of them. Let's go ahead and not try to tax them, since this is their land. And they're enforcing the rights of indigenous people. And the state of Illinois already recognized Moors as indigenous people. So now what can you do? You don't got to work for the European no more. You can come down here. Since we already established the status for the record, you can open up your business and get compensated that way. Now, how wonderful will that be? But Jamal, how long will that take? People. It's going to take as long as the people take to get here. Oh, but I don't want to move there yet because nothing's established. All right, well then nothing will forever be unestablished. And then other people try to act intelligent. This is what they say. Well, you know, people don't want to do nothing until it's already established because they're already telling you who they are. Because me, like I said before, and I'll say it again, there was no temple here teaching more shit. So guess what I did? I didn't sit back like, how come there's no one there teaching people stuff? Guess what I did? I read, studied, wrote books, and started teaching. That simple. Thank you. Keyword initiative. So based on me doing my little part, emphasis on the small, little part, all of you came here, so now we can do something large. Imagine that. Because my little piece brought her, which made it a little bit more big, a little bigger than you, which increased it, because these are little pieces stacking, making it big. It's that simple. Just like we're trying to establish this meeting with the mayor. You've seen how they reacted. Now imagine more Moors demanding the presence of the governor. Yes.
Well, they don't want to acknowledge it.
No, yeah, they did. We just have to follow up to make sure, hey, we came here, there was 20 of us, remember? Now it's just 3 of us. Don't make us get the 20 back in here and make sure that this meeting happens. You get what I'm saying? Which is how nations work. So the Chinese people will send their prime minister, to speak with the president of the United States so that the entire nation don't come over here with their guns and say, yo, why are you treating us like shit? You get what I'm saying? That's how governments work. Meaning, the Europeans don't respect China just because they say, I have a nationality and I'm Aboriginal and indigenous to Asia. No, they respect them because they have the right to bear arms. They're actually organized and they're willing to fight for each other. Not just saying, well, I'm an Aboriginal and indigenous, autochthon, Moorish American national and this is my land. Okay. Okay. Now get out that house. Oh, but I'm doing my mantra and I'm an Aboriginal. Okay, policy enforcers, get that person out of here. Because now there's numbers. Multiple of them beat the one of you. It's not complicated.
People don't understand that there was multiple of us when the shoe would be on the other floor.
But the problem is, there is more of us. The mayor of Providence is a Moor.
But what I'm saying,
No, hold on. No, I know what you're saying.
you know what I'm
I know what you're saying.
It goes back to my debate in the Bible.
It's the mindset. I know what you're saying. It's the mindset. Because Mayor George Elorza is a Moor.
Yeah.
But he claims to be so-called Hispanic. Which you're submitting to that European colonial ideology, whether you know it or not.
But at the end of the day, he's gonna continue forward and be a dirty Moor at the end of the day.
Because hold on, let me tell you why.
He wasn't enlightened the way.
Let me tell you why. Who cuts his checks?
Who?
Hmm?
Follow the money.
That's right.
There you go.
So he's just gonna continue being a puppet.
There you go.
Until his time is definition.
George Elorza is a he.
All right, I didn't get a name. All right. So as long as he's under their umbrella, he's their puppet until he gets on his feet and he's free up here, then things will start running on a whole nother direction. But until then, he's dancing to the tunes.
You have something to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, in regards to how there is more of us, we're just stuck in that mentality where we think that we're minorities, where in fact, like,
We are the majority.
we're the majority of the world. There's less Europeans in the entire world than there are Moors everywhere. They just convince us that we're a minority and that they're the majority, but it's the opposite. That's to keep us from unifying and being a bigger front against them than what they could ever do.
We have so much of us that we put them in like foster homes because we're not taking care of them. So we're overpopulated pretty much. So we are definitely the majority.
Yeah. Europeans just gave us a self-defeating mentality.
And, also in this, where we are right now, in this so-called state of Rhode Island, this is one of their colonies, so of course it looks like there's more of them, because there are more of them here in this area than us at the moment, but not.
You know why it looks like there's a lot of them? If you look at, let's say, hold on, if you look at Lockwood, right? Look at Lockwood. Those are high rises, right? Buildings stacked on each other, right? Multiple units, so there's multiple people there. But it don't look like a lot. But it's one building, filled with people, our people. Then you go to Cranston, it's more spread out. The roads are literally bigger, so it looks like there's more of them. They just took a bunch of us and compressed it, so it looks like a little bit. And they're spread out, so it looks like a lot. They live in Cranston, but then they run politics in Providence. And there's a Masonic Lodge in Cranston, right after Moreland Street, right after Alhambra Circle. And then there's a Masonic Shriners Temple, which you have to be a 33-degree Mason to be part of the Shriners. And right next to that building is what? A police motorcycle club. How interesting is that? So they protect themselves, don't they?
They're friends. It's like they're friends or like family or something. Or maybe a nation.
So if that's what they're doing and it's working, I wonder what the Moors should do. Maybe we should reinvent the wheel and see how that works.
A lot of our brothers and sisters are still plugged up and brainwashed.
I know. So all right, that's a fact. What are we doing to prevent that?
I sit there and I speak, I teach.
All right.
Like I was supposed to have one of my brothers come with me tonight, but he's caught up with his child, so, but I have like next week I'll probably be here with like 3 or 4 people. You know what I'm saying?
Also, if you're connected with anybody and you want to host an event, let me know. I'll let them know, and we'll show up. Because if we're not present, our people is going to keep getting snatched up. Whatever, a lecture, chilling, whatever you want. Because if I'm chilling, I'm teaching. You know what I'm saying?
Put them on.
You got an apartment or a basement?
You let him know. We all go, and then they
We'll
can see,
bring
like,
the movement to you.
yeah, there's something. It's substance. It's like, because you speaking it to your boy, you're gonna be like, yeah, you talking that crazy stuff.
Right.
Trust me, I know.
And a lot of them, like more this past week have been like, breaking in a little more because I speak about it a lot. You know what I mean? Be hanging out, whatever. Boom, something pop up, and I just, hey, no, listen, bro, I'll show you. Google this on your phone right now.
Yeah, but
I'll tell you what to Google.
we'll pull up with cases dismissed.
You like to pull up, let this pull up. And
Yeah.
you teach yourself something.
Nah, we'll pull up with cases dismissed so they can't deny it. I mean, they'll still try, but that's cool. If they deny facts, just drop
I
it.
say events and stuff because like I have a lot of friends, promoters and
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like my little brother actually works for the mayor. He's an artist. He does art, does murals, he does galleries and stuff like that. So he actually works for him every year. He actually hosts an event in July downtown. He does the block parties. He's actually the one that hosts them. He's been doing that for like 3-4 years, 3 years now. And that's why I asked to elaborate on what kind of events it is that you're talking about.
It don't matter.
He's breaking it down on the what pull up.
Mhm.
Cool. You know what I mean? Like if I end up, that'd be cool, bro. No boom, that'd be what's up. That'd be great.
Wherever the people are, that's what we should be. We've done, we walked around Kennedy Plaza handing out information.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that several times. We went to like 2 different projects handing out information. It's just we need more people to show. Because our people like the illusion of inclusion. They want to see a bunch of people doing it before they do it.
Absolutely, that's what it is, and that's what, it's just like, why not just be part of that?
Yeah.
Why not take that foot? And that's
Yeah.
what I thank Khalif, you know what I mean? Like, he helped me out a lot, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, he was strong and he was, shaky sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You had to like really sit back and like really listen to this man sometimes to like really understand him. But like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't, be having the conversations that I have now with people, you know what I'm saying, with the people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And just
So with that illusion of inclusion, everything has its benefit. Now there's a lot more of us, so let's just show them the illusion of inclusion by actually including them. You get what I'm saying? Any other questions or comments?
You were asking what we're gonna do about something, and at least I'm getting my rent clause.
Get what?
Get inside of our rent clause, what would you say?
Yeah, don't do anything, just get in your
Jesus
Merkaba, your
Christ.
energy field, and don't.
Get your crystals and your wood
Separate.
and hide at home
Yes,
and do videos from your house by yourself in a room alone.
yep.
Some dude did
Sign
that
up?
last night.
Yeah.
Like, no, as it was, just there watching. What the fuck?
It doesn't make sense to me how anyone, now I started off in a room by myself, right? That's because I had no other option. But then my cousin was like, yo, let's go to the library, it's public. I was like, all right, let's do it there, so people can actually show up. You know what I'm saying? So if you see people doing videos at home, maybe you should DM them like, yo, why don't you do it at a free library so the public can show up and ask you questions? Because if you claim to know what you're talking about, you're going to have to put that to the test, okay?
Get out.
Princeton Library, I went there yesterday, the dude said that, so you gotta sign a thing, get the card,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, Rhode Island law. That's a law, that you gotta have like a card or whatever.
Not that I'm aware of. The William Hall Library in Cranston?
Cranston, that we went to?
To sign out a book?
No, to get like a card.
A library.
Oh, I don't know.
Membership card.
I don't know. I have no idea. But remember, Cruden versus Neal, all men are independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He's not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. So you can choose to disagree, just like they can choose to say, well, you have to have this, whatever. William Hall Libraries in Cranston. Oh, Cruden versus Neal. So like as an example, if we say in order to come to these meetings, you have to have whatever. If you want to come to these meetings, then you're going to have that whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just them enforcing their rights to enforce law. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just to alleviate you from going through that, we should have our own library. You know what I mean?
That's something to look into too, library.
I mean, I got some books. I mean, they're all mine, but, you know,
I go on Craigslist.
people can donate.
I go on Craigslist to see people give out botanicas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, all of those are, well, so I actually got a book called The Book of Law, a really small book, and it starts speaking about the universe and things like that, but it's based off law. And it talks about how constitutions, most of them have the word universe in it, or universal, and, but I'll bring it in so y'all could break it down and look at it yourself.
I was studying, the, common law for, jurors, sheriffs, bailiffs, and justice.
Mm-hmm.
That book was like the best book I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That book is life.
The common law is based on common sense.
Yeah, I know, but I never
Yeah. No, I know.
blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, I was talking to my homegirl yesterday, I was like, yo, whoever invented Savers is smart. All right, donate free codes and I'm gonna
Sell it.
I'm gonna sell it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was to do that, my black people are still gonna drive past my business and
Mhm.
go to Savers and drop it off at Savers, so
Mhm.
that I don't flip it, so that I'm not one up on them,
Mhm.
which is crazy. Mom, it's crazy.
It's funny you
Now,
mentioned
you
that.
bring
I
up
go
the
there
library.
sometimes and I get furniture, fix it up, sand it, repaint it, and I sell them on like, oh,
Exactly.
make
Talking about the
A lot of
library.
people do
make a
that
small
even.
profit on it.
Everybody here donate a book. We start a little cubicle, our little cubicle's a library. Now, once we got
Mm-hmm. We can do that. We just need a better place than this. Because this place sucks.
How do you recommend we acquire this place?
I think, yeah, I think we are building the atmosphere like this meeting with the mayor. You already know, we're gonna demand that we have monthly meetings with the mayor, irrespective of who's sitting in that office. So we can start to integrate, okay, we know adverse possession, we see in Rhode Island general laws adverse possession. We already put you on notice that we're Aboriginal, Indigenous, separate nation of people, so we don't have to follow by that statutory 10-year provision. So when we put things on notice, places on notice that we're adverse possessing this property, don't send the policy enforcers after us, which we already had a meeting with them, so they know too. So then we can take that step together, not by ourselves, together and say, we'll take this abandoned property, fix it up, make it our temple. Then once that's solidified, all right, who needs a place to stay? All right, well, take this house for you, you stay there. Who else needs a place to stay? Oh, more of you are hearing about what we're doing? Yeah, come help us do this so we can do it for you too.
In fact, stay at the temple, let's see how serious you are.
Yeah,
Guard the temple.
because then we can
watch the
create
temple at night.
stipulations on, because I'm telling you, a lot of people's gonna come once this stuff starts working, and then I'm gonna be like, where were you before? You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. I know. I was never shooting in the gym, that's why. I was playing video games. You know?
This video is amazing.
Huh?
Islam.
Oh, Ishmael took a video of our meeting and it came out amazing.
Oh, yeah. I have to see that.
So you guys could-
Yeah. But yeah, pretty soon we're gonna need another face to sit up here and teach, because I'm gonna be busy doing other stuff. Just so you know. So instead of me choosing someone, you're gonna have to,
Rotate.
based on your merit, who wants to do what. Because I'm not in the duty or in the realm of holding anyone's hand, especially not grown men and women who are older than me, which most of y'all are older than me. You know. So you had something to say,
I
right?
was saying specifics to what they're gonna be teaching within.
More science is anything. Math.
Yeah, because we need to, let's say, if we're gonna write writs as far as what we're gonna be handling with the group of our.
You need to come up with a curriculum.
We need to be able to write and reference the Constitution,
Mhm.
to be able to teach the Constitution, be able to reference it and apply it, and be able to write our own documents,
Mhm.
affidavits, so that we can be sort of.
Our English major, Elise, who's not here, but she's watching live, is great at writing things, so she could be someone.
Aren't you majoring in
to
English
sit
too?
with and also
Nursing? Oh.
Type up some documents.
So yeah, you can teach whatever
Yeah.
you want. Of course, ask me first so I can approve it. Because if it's some trash, I'm not approving it.
Yeah, something that's gonna be doing something that's gonna build us as a, skill sets.
Yeah.
We can have classes and electives too, though, We could have things that are not civic or that are more electives, like
Yeah.
learning martial art
Trades.
or learning to carpentry, if you want to share a little bit of what you've learned or.
Yeah. Mathematics, because our people need to learn math. Anything. If you go to herbs, do an
Spanish,
herbal class on
Arabic.
medicine or whatever. Because our people need that information, and they're not going to get it from me because I'm not adept in that information.
And
So
you
let
don't
me
have to
step
be
back.
adept. You studied 3 months on this little, make one class out of the 3 months that you studied, and it's a crash course for those who are
Yeah.
coming.
One of the things we did in the Marines for corporal's course was we had to do, we call it a hip pocket class, which means a class off the top of your head.
That's nice, that's interesting.
So if we want to practice doing that for next week, someone can volunteer to do it. A hip pocket class, which means a class off the top of your head about something. Which I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't see me reading something, I'm doing everything off the top of my head.
I asked him last night what class was going to be on. I don't know.
You ask me that every week what class is going to be on, and I say, I don't know.
Sometimes he'll know and he'll be like, all right, this is going to be the theme of the topic, but a lot of the times he'll be just like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
we talk about more science and we learn and we build and
And I think they're pretty decent classes.
I think so too. And I think most of the teachers.
But that only came with practice. When I was in high school, I had public speaking class, and I did the same thing, because I didn't like to do homework. So I was like, I'm just going to do it off the top of my head, because homework is trash. And I've just been practicing that since I was young, just off the top of my head, being witty, making the information receivable, not just, Mars our man, upright, independent, and fearless, blah, blah, blah. Nah, and it's good practice. So I'm going to assign that homework to all of you for next week. Whoever wants to do a class, just let me know what it's going to be about, and I won't be teaching. If you want to do it on law, go ahead, because, people learn differently. So if you're sharing a different perspective, we're going to attract more people, instead of just my ugly face on camera every week, talking about the same crap every week, because it don't change. You know what I'm saying? I've been saying for months, City Hall, City Hall, City Hall, for months. Move out here, move out here, move out here, for months. If you want remedy, come here so we can enforce it. So you're not going to get anything new. So if you want to hear something new, you might want to start teaching something new. Because while I've been here talking all this crap, I could have been in there printing you some nationality cards for those Moors who need it. You get what I'm saying? So if you free up my time by taking some responsibility, I'll be able to do more things, which will take us to the next level, which once I'm able to do more things, then that person who's teaching can step back, let someone else teach. They can do more things, and it will just increase. Right? So,
Let's not follow the leader, let's not do that.
yeah, next week, someone else is teaching. I'm going to wrap this up by doing the things we read at every meeting. Again, topic of today's class was, you are important. Your life matters. Your input matters. What you say matters. And this movement is determined by how far you're willing to go and what you're willing to do to make whatever it is that you want happen. Because I'll tell you right now, these Europeans are making what they want happen by their will, by them doing it, not them sitting, not them building with their bros at home, smoking weed, talking about what they could be doing and not doing anything. Now, it's not a personal attack against anyone, because I used to be the same way. I used to build with my bros, and we used to just sit there, smoke weed, talk about these problems, and not do anything. But
I mean, that's just what you were saying. It's a countless of things we can teach about, talk about.
Mhm.
We can study laws so we can use them in everyday life. So
Mhm.
we can not just talk about them, but out there doing stuff.
Mhm. So, to be at every meeting, I'm going to skip caveat emptor. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they're working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so that they may take charge of the situation. Any questions on that? I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me in the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. Any questions on that? I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years, Prophet Noble Ali. Any questions on that? To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, this is the instructions from your prophet, Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Ali. That's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. And they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Ali. Any questions on that? Great. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We're for peace and not destruction. Any questions on that? Meaning, Moors in the comments, stop saying crazy stuff. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember your cards for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. Any questions on that? So you can still use your ID. Just stop saying, oh, look at me, I got this. I thought you were an adult. Right? We're for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any questions on that? Right? So I'm a peaceful person. I don't like conflict. If you're aggressing towards me, I say, yo, please back up. Please back up. Please back up. Please back up. All right, if you don't want to back up, then we're going to have problems. That's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I'm telling you, please back up. I'm being polite because I love myself and I love you. Right? Truthfully, I'm telling you to back up. Because if you don't, bullets are flying. Right? Peacefully, I'm telling you to back up. Because if you don't, bullets are flying. Then if you're going to assault me, well, then you're in violation of my freedom. So then justice is going to then take its course. Right? Which the prophet said, if someone's doing harm to you, flee. If you can't flee, turn around and drop the world on them. That's what the prophet said. So if this bad boy is going through your brain, seems like the world just fell on you. Right? So now, we're a peaceful people. We don't want conflict with nobody. But if terrorists start violating the Constitution, something has to happen to them. Whether you file a claim against them, right? Do it the civilized way. Or if they don't respect that, if they don't respect the civilized way, well, then we'll do it the divine way. Like our ancestors used to do it. They used to take it to the top of the pyramid after a fair and just trial. Take it to the top of the pyramid. Oh, you committed treason against your entire nation. That means you have a bad heart. So we're going to call a gathering. Ew! About to do a sacrifice. They would lay you down, take a knife, take your heart out, say, look, he don't deserve this because he violated the entire nation. Right? They would show the people, look, this person's gone now. Put it in a jar. Take this off. Throw it down the stairs so that everyone knows when you hurt your people, this is what happens to you. But that's way back when people actually used to respect the Moors. Now we're just like, we got hurt and we don't, it's colonial, it's white supremacy, and we're just... So I'll read that one more time. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. So if you're wondering why there's still dirty Moors walking around, living, ask yourself why. And remember, everyone has the right to a fair and just trial. Everyone. Dirty Moors, Europeans, Inquisitionists, Moriscos, Moors, everyone. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust reasons. Now, keep in mind, Allah does not recognize person or station, meaning everyone's equal. So if you violate your Moorish covenant and you get taken by Europeans, there you go. Get it? You sure? Meaning justice doesn't always look like what you think it's going to look like. And since your Moorish people refuse to organize and establish government, Allah is going to do whatever Allah needs to do to make sure justice is enforced, which Allah works through man because Allah is man. Hence, Allah will use Europeans to enforce the will of the Prophet. Right? All true Moors will, meaning it's a choice, and must, meaning you don't have a choice, obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Are there any questions on that? Are we sure? All true Moors will and must what?
Obey.
Obey what?
The law.
The law as what?
down to the second prophet.
I'll ask you one more time. All true Moors must what? I can't hear any. What the hell? So all y'all saying we're a nation of people and y'all can't speak as one? Get out. I'll ask you one more time. Let me read it again. And then I'm going to ask you, right? All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. Now, all true Moors will and must what?
Obey the
Laid down to them by their prophet.
All right, we need practice. Because if this was the Marines, y'all all be pushing right now. Just so you know. But you sound good. Sound good. All right. You sound.
The harmony was off.
Okay.
Yeah, let's. All right. Let me scale it. Let me scale
It
it.
sound bad.
If this was the 100% ultimate confidence, y'all was about right here.
Let's say that again.
That was before.
No, before y'all was in the negative. That was down here back there. Hold on. Where's the? Let me. Tough love.
75%.
Nah. Tough love.
Confidence.
Let me write it.
That was bad.
I'm being honest. Let me write it for
That
you.
was 14.
Because remember, I've heard Marines,
For real. And they are too.
and it sounds like the whole earth is shaking when we talk, right? So let me write it down for you.
That's repetition. We just said that today.
All right, all right.
Like, exactly.
So I'm giving you an honest assessment of what I seen.
So 40%.
So that's not bad for our first time.
I
That's
know.
not bad.
Yeah. Give yourself a round of applause.
We'll take
All right.
40% negative Jesus.
Look, you don't even support us. You don't even tell us that we did a good job.
You want the truth or what? What's going on?
I want the truth, Lord. I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
No sugar for me.
Like my medicine bitter.
I'm telling you.
Hell no.
That's how you know it's working.
Yep. If it ain't bitter, it ain't medicine. So one thing I've learned with the herbs.
That reminds me of nettle. You ever had nettle? Try that in the tea?
Stinging nettle's the best.
You would not be able to drink that.
I drink it every morning, stinging nettle tea.
Nettle tea. My first time was
You gotta get that burdock. All right, let's read it together. Right, just. All right, I'm about to read it. Ready? All true Moors. I said together. Why am I doing it?
Oh, I thought you said.
Let's do it again. All right, ready?
Ready?
Yeah, ready? All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. Now that one was up here. No, what? You didn't feel that? I'm the only one that felt that? Oh, let's do it one more time since I'm the only one that felt that. Ready? All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. What's going on? Tell me I didn't feel good.
Yes, it is.
That energy, man.
Right? Right?
I know.
All right.
Everybody was yelling, Rashid?
Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tuning in. Move out here.
We're moving down.
Study. If you ask me what to study next, I'll say study yourselves. Now, I'm not one of those Moors that don't point you in a direction. Go to riseofmoors.org and you can study there. Or you can go to rvbaypublications.com. You can study there too.
No affiliation.
Yeah, no affiliations. I don't get paid to say that. Or you can just go down to your local law library and start reading. Or you can just watch my videos over and over and over again for free until you learn something.
There's a lot of videos with a lot of information. At
Yeah.
least 2 years worth.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.